Welcome back. Some pretty amazing news to report here. News you're not going to hear most places. Fentanyl deaths in this country have absolutely plummeted under this president and the now sealed southern border. According to CDC, 2025 deaths fell from nearly 49,000 down to 38,000. That's a 22% drop. More than 10,000 lives saved last year. Of course, the media couldn't care about 10,000 Americans not dying of drug overdoses. It's not the kind of story that's interesting to them, but you're going to hear about anti-ICE insurrectionists Alex Priddy and Renee Good for years and years to come. But the total overdose deaths dropping from over 81,000 to nearly 70,000, a 14% decline. And then if you go back even further, overdose deaths were more than 100,000 in 2024 as Biden sealed the border furiously to try and neutralize the Trump threat after blowing it up for 3 years. It all came closed because the threat of Trump winning the election, and then Trump coming in and actually sealing the border itself. So this process actually started when he decided to run for president, and they realized the liability of what they had done to our border. In a recent Portland, Oregon operation, the feds arresting more than 100 criminals and charging them for selling fentanyl, seizing 100 kilograms of the stuff, enough to kill 50 million Americans. This is the work. This is the thankless work of actually running a government properly, right? These are the things that are done that don't even get media attention. You save thousands, tens of thousands of lives. Where's the headline? Nowhere. Mark Morgan ran the Border Patrol under President Trump. Kari Lake also with us from border state Arizona. Good to have you both here. Mark, it's an amazing story. It's an amazing story of how many forgotten and never thought about people are not dead because we actually have a sensible border.
Yeah, Rob, look, we should be, regardless of what political aisle you rest, we should be celebrating these numbers. But I do want to caution, before we put the mission accomplishment flag in the ground, a lot still remains to be done. Yeah. The cartels are still alive and well. They're still mass producing fentanyl and other synthetic drugs. They're still trafficking heroin and cocaine, which actually has gone up. But here's why here's why I think we're moving in the right direction under this administration is because since day one, they've understood that this issue is a complex issue with respect to drugs in this country. And the solution needs a complex, multifaceted solution, meaning they support education awareness programs. They support addiction rehabilitation programs. They support giving EMS, whether it's paramedics or local law enforcement, life-saving tools like Narcan. All those things have happened. But right. To your point, because we know a lot of people die from fentanyl, they're not addicts, is that we have to do what? We have to secure the border. And that's one of the big things that I have with the Biden administration. For 4 years, they lied to us, Rob. They told us that we can open our borders up to illegal aliens, but somehow close it to illegal drugs. No. That's an absurd proposition. No. And that's what this president has understood. Look, the border's not completely secure, but we're moving in the right direction because of this president.
Yeah, that's well said. Kari, a lot of the video we just used, as Mark was talking, was from your home state, Arizona. Mm-hmm. How different does Arizona feel with a sealed border?
It's night and day. I mean, I'm old enough to remember when people were pouring across the border by the hundreds every day in Arizona alone, sometimes across the entire southern border by the thousands a day. You don't think that drugs are pouring across and cartels are running drugs. There were actually cartel shootouts on the border in Arizona just a couple of years ago. And this administration has taken an all-hands-on-deck approach, securing the border. A stray cat cannot get through that border right now without this administration knowing about it. They've gone after the narco-terrorists, whether it be at the border, whether it be at sea when they're trying to bring these drugs into our country, whether going after these shipments frankly, from China with the precursors for making fentanyl. It's all hands on deck, and that's why we're seeing these numbers go down. We have a class of human beings, of individuals in America called angel parents who've lost their kids and they're never coming back. Right. And I think with President Trump, we're going to see those numbers fall even more.
And rightly so. One more for you guys before I let you go. The State Department, Mark, pausing all processing of immigrant visas worldwide. Moratorium with no timetable, pausing all the visas applications. Administration claiming it's to train visa officers on the new public charge rule that ensures immigrants coming here are not going to be a financial burden to the American taxpayer, which rightly so. They're actually forcing this, and this is part of immigration into this country. You can't come here if you're going to be on welfare. But just days ago, we had an activist judge, I should say, appointed by Joe Biden, blocking the State Department from freezing visas for 75 countries that were deemed a national security threat. She screamed racism on it, wondering if this more broad pause was just a way to get around her ruling, Mark.
You know, I don't know, but I support this 100%. It's the right thing. It's long overdue, Rob. We know there's been visa fraud for decade after decade. And quite frankly, I was disappointed in the recent Supreme Court decision on birth tourism. So I think this is also going to be a way to address that, because what the Supreme Court said, someone can intentionally lie on a visa application, commit a crime with the sole intent of coming to the United States to have a kid and then return to their country. But yet the Supreme Court says, oh, that kid is still a U.S. citizen. That's absurd. I mean, we have no choice. After the fact, there's nothing we can do. So by training these individuals before, it's a preventative measure. So it's actually going to be able to prevent a lot of fraud that we know is going on.
Absolutely. And Kari, you had a hand in helping the administration craft that visa moratorium. Go ahead. I got 20 seconds left.
Well, I have seen so much abuse of it. I don't know if I had a hand in it, but I completely support it. We can't have someone coming in saying, oh, I'm a tourist, and then they get here and one day into the country, they're saying, I want to seek asylum and stay forever. We need honesty, and we expect people to be honest. I would never go to another country, lie on a visa application, and then try to stay forever. Right. And we expect that kind of honesty from people coming in. I'm glad that we're reforming this system and making it honest again. That's how it should be. It is a privilege to come into this country, not a right, and we're going to make sure that people are following the law. And enforcing the public charge rule instead of adopting the entire world, the entire third world. Mark Morgan, Kari Lake, good to see you both. Thanks so much. You know, everybody's reporting the same stories, the same spin. You turn the channel, it's always the same. But not us. We're different. We report the real news. No spin, just the facts. Turn to us, and you won't turn back.
Tune in to Rob Schmitt Tonight on Newsmax.